Mountain News this morning, rescuers were able to save the life of a man who went missing in the Red River Gorge. And thousands experienced flight delays due to a computer outage, even those from Kentucky.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. It is 5:30 this Monday morning, and like Tim mentioned earlier this morning, it was a battle between rain that makes you want to sleep and thunder that jolts you out of bed, and I think that's definitely what happened to me. But let's send it over to meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast.
The other thing, Madison, is not just the rain that wants to keep you in bed. It's Monday. Mid-60s last check outside our door here at WYMT, and temperatures across all of eastern and southern Kentucky. 68 at Prestonsburg as well as Jackson. 70 as you make your way back into London. Good morning to you in Jonesville. You're at 70 as well. All right, the pinpoint Doppler radar still got a few flood advisories in effect until 6:30. Lee, Owsley, Clay, portions of Perry County. Again, a number of us have seen an inch and a half of rain at the time of those issuances, with more rain now coming in from the west, Stanton down toward McKee, Boonville into extreme western portions of Perry County. Get some heavier rain, Inez, east of Pikeville now, continue to track out toward the east, and at least some of this is starting to lighten up to a degree. Waynesburg back toward Danville. All right, out the door we go. Showers, scattered thunderstorms this morning, some heavier bursts of rain, a break midday before we refire later today, and a high with some breaks of sun up to 80. More about the First Alert 7-day forecast. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. You'll know what I mean coming up in a few moments. Madison?
All right, Tim, thank you. On Saturday, crews in Wolfe County were able to find a man that was missing for several days in the Red River Gorge. WYMT's RJ Johnson shares how officials were finally able to find him and get him to safety.
48-year-old Scott Hearn of Ohio was last heard from in early July. Officials in the Red River Gorge were alerted about his disappearance when his car was in a parking lot for several days.
And when he ran his license plate, that's kind of what triggered this whole event, because there was a missing persons report filed in Ohio where he was actually missing from. And then we got alerted shortly thereafter.
On Tuesday, crews with the Wolfe County Search and Rescue began looking for him.
We immediately put team members into the woods in an area where his vehicle was parked and kind of did a hasty search that evening.
And after days of searching and finding nothing, Chief John May says they went into Saturday knowing it was their last day before all hope was lost.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, when we learned he'd been out here, for an extended period of time already, you want to be hopeful, but the reality of it is most people don't survive that long in a wilderness environment unless you're prepared to do it, and he was not. You can't sustain, that type of effort indefinitely. So Saturday was going to be our big push, hopefully find something. If we didn't, we would have scaled it back.
When approaching the Bell Falls area one last time, a group found tracks and a walking stick, then heard a man's voice.
So they continued on up through the Bell Falls area, which is really rugged. I mean, if you're not walking in the creek, you're belly crawling through Rhodo. It's that thick. And then they heard someone yell. They responded back, and then the gentleman said, "Help, help," and they asked who it was, and he said, "Scott." May
says when they found Hearn, there was one thing he asked for.
When he got there, Mr. Hearn just asked for a hug. He wanted him to hug him, so our teammate reached down and gave him a hug, and he got pretty emotional at that time. And he was alert and oriented, a little confused, but extremely dehydrated, and his feet were in pretty bad shape.
And although in good spirits, May says it could have been a lot worse.
Where he was at, he probably would never have been found. If he was not able to yell when those searchers were in the general area, there's no way they would have found him where he was at.
Saying it was a miracle. In Wolfe County, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
May says they were able to get some clues from a diary found by Hearn's family, adding it would not be possible without assistance from other agencies around the region, giving them more boots on the ground. May says it is important to hike safely and responsibly, especially when alone. He says you should always plan out your route and be sure to have flashlights, and plenty of food and water. May adds it is important to tell people where you are going and when you plan to be back.
But just some basic things to do, do a little research on the trail that you're going to be going out on. Make sure you know where it goes. Marked trails are your best option. If you get on unmarked trails or unofficial trails, there's really no blazing out there for that. So you're kind of just finding your way. And a lot of those trails have little offshoots that go different places, and that can get you spun around pretty quick.
May adds it is important to download a map of the trail on your phone or print it out in case you lose cell service or your phone dies. A 3-year-old was taken to UK Chandler Hospital Saturday morning after being hit by a vehicle. Officials say the incident happened on Trout Court just around 12 p.m. The child is said to have life-threatening injuries. Police say the collision reconstruction unit and the forensic services unit were called to the scene and are investigating the incident. A Jeep was reported stolen to the Laurel County Sheriff's Office on Sunday. The Jeep Rubicon that you can see here was reportedly stolen from Slate Ridge Road, that is 7 miles south of London. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office is still investigating. Anyone who has seen this vehicle or has information is asked to contact the Laurel County Sheriff's Office at 606-864-6600. A man was found dead after being trapped under an ATV in Knox County Saturday morning. Police say family members of the man last talked to him Friday afternoon when he said he was going to get lumber. Family members reportedly searched for him throughout the night Friday. The man, 59-year-old James Vaughn of Swan Pond, was found on Rufus Mills Ridge off Kentucky South 11 in Barberville. The sheriff's office says it is still investigating. Over the weekend, thousands of flights were canceled or delayed due to a nationwide CrowdStrike crash. Flight struggles were no different for one man in Kentucky, so he took matters into his own hands and found another way to get home. Christian Muncie was heading home to Lexington from a work trip in Philadelphia when things came to a grinding halt. Muncie's plane to Charlotte, North Carolina eventually ended up taking off, but once he landed, he missed his connecting flight to Lexington.
That's when stuff was being released, just through news and stuff like that, that there was a software malfunction. And I didn't even actually get back on a plane. I actually rented a U-Haul, a 10-foot box truck.
Feeling like he was out of options to get back home, Muncie hit the road in a U-Haul. He made it home Friday evening. In total, he says he spent more than 24 hours trying to get back to the Bluegrass State. Kentucky health experts are having to treat more whooping cough cases than they've seen in years. Right now, there are 130 cases of whooping cough, otherwise known as pertussis, across the Commonwealth. Of those, 8 of them had to go to the hospital. 4 of them were children. Anyone can get it, but kids are most at risk for developing life-threatening illnesses from the illness. A Lexington physician talked about when you should call a doctor.
If the child is having trouble breathing or coughing a lot or tugging to breathe, such as you might see their nostrils flare, you might see their ribs kind of where they're struggling to get air in. Any of those symptoms, it's important that you see your doctor.
The state requires the pertussis shot for school children, but doctors say it is important for at-risk groups like pregnant women and elderly to get the shot as well. Solar energy is becoming popular throughout the country. One Kentucky man added solar panels to his home. Alexa Minton has the details.
Andy McDonald says installing solar panels back in 2011 was one of the best decisions he made.
I installed my solar array in 3 phases. The first phase was these first 5 panels you see behind me.
And it's a decision he continues to build on even years later.
So we decided to add the second array, which is an additional 4 panels.
Andy is a coordinator for Solarize Frankfurt, one of the 4 group purchasing programs developed by the Kentucky Solar Energy Society to reduce uncertainty and the price tag for Kentuckians interested in going solar.
It's not an inconsequential investment, but it is an investment in that over the long term it will provide a financial return.
The Solarize program is active for Lexington, Louisville, Boyle County area, and Frankfort, and has proved successful in 2023, helping 166 Kentucky households go solar. But the program hasn't always been met with sunshine.
I understand that, people have a lot of questions about solar energy. It's a fairly new technology still.
Recently, 2 proposed solar projects in Fayette County have met some local pushback, with concerns about converting farmland into solar arrays. In just this past legislative session, lawmakers passed Senate Bill 349, making it more difficult for utility companies to retire old gas and coal plants in favor of a more economical option of solar energy. Even with this pushback, Andy still thinks Kentucky's future is solar.
Just as we were blessed to have coal in the ground and natural gas in the ground and abundant water resources in Kentucky, we also have abundant solar resources. The sun shines on every home. Solar is a major new industry that's creating hundreds of thousands of jobs around the United States and thousands of jobs here in Kentucky.
For WKYT, I'm First Alert meteorologist Alexa Minton.
When we return, Sundance is moving south and potentially considering a city in the Commonwealth.
And the pinpoint Doppler radar very active this morning. I don't think I need to tell a few of you, obviously being woken up with the thunder and the lightning. When can we dry out? We'll let you know if we can. The First Alert 7-day forecast is coming up right after this.